All right. Now, I want to talk to you distinctly about three critical things that Jesus came to do. Now, let me go to my whiteboard just for a minute, and I want to write out three critical things. So these are three critical things. We know Jesus did a lot of things. Three critical things that Jesus came to do, okay? Now, I want to kind of map these out for you. I'm going to give you some scriptures to back this up. One critical thing is he came to make an end of the law of Moses. Now, keep in mind, the things that Jesus was going to bring was going to supersede the law of Moses. So even though he took something away, he gave us something better so that if you do what he says now, you automatically fulfill the things in the law of Moses. But the law of Moses was not gonna continue after Christ. I'm going to prove that. Here's the second critical thing that he came to do, was to choose 12 men according to the 12 tribes of Israel. So he did it symbolically. There would be 12 to start off. It's a government number, 12. Choose 12 men to launch his church. This is something he had to do before he left here. Choose 12 men to launch his church. This is why he couldn't die as a child. This is why it could not have just been him coming to be a sacrifice for you and I. It had to be more than that. It was actually a deeper sacrifice that was actually happening than just the one that happened on the cross. Not to make light of the fact that he gave his life on the cross, but there was something he did before then that truly was the giving of his life. Now that kind of brings us to the third critical thing, and that was to leave a pattern of how to overcome sin. And this was going to be critical because until Christ came, we had no way to overcome sin. We had no way to deal with sin. Sin was the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. And there was no one that could overcome the promise that you had to die. It was something that everyone had to do. And if I had time, I would explain to you why even the individuals under the law of Moses, even great people who lived in the Old Testament, they didn't go to heaven. The pathway to heaven was not made yet. Everyone had to die. But there were people under the law that he remembered. And the Bible speaks of a better resurrection. And the Bible speaks of a resurrection that comes at the end of his timeline for others that he remembered. And so there was individuals that were great, like Moses and Elijah and Abraham. God remembered them. And there's a scripture that says that many of the bodies which slept or rose came out of the ground after Jesus' resurrection and entered into the holy city, which was the day of Pentecost, but that's not my subject today. But my point is, there was no one before Christ came that could escape death. Otherwise, why did Jesus come? He came because this problem of everyone had to die. So this is why we needed a pattern of how to overcome sin.